happens if you find that going through social media and going through the lives of celebrities, it is making you very uncomfortable. And the first thing you can do, connect with people who are not celebrities and connect with people who are more like you. However, you can use celebrities as a way of gaining your strength, as a way of motivating yourself. You could derive your inspiration from somebody who has an amazing career, somebody who set up a great entrepreneurial venture. And if that's something you've always wanted to do, instead of looking at it from the scarcity point of view, which is typically, I'm so jealous. Why do they have what I don't have? Why could I not be successful in setting up an entrepreneurial venture? Why did I have to fail when I started my fitness business, for example? Instead of feeling all the negative feelings, if you switched your focus to feeling positive and using it to drive you, using it as inspiration and motivation, then you would be in a much better place. Which brings me to the second point, which is shifting our focal point from things that you do not want to things which you do want. Now, in this particular point, I would like to highlight the fact that you need to focus on what is it that you really want to do with your life, and why do you want to do. Here. The fact that you do not like your job, the fact that you do not like the way you look, and the fact that you're not happy. You cannot get to being happy, to setting up an entrepreneurial venture and looking the way you want to look if you are in a place of negativity. You have to eliminate the negativity from your life. You have to shift your focal point from being negative to being positive. What is it that you want to do? Why do you want to do it? How do you want to look? How do you want your life to look 5 years from now? These are the things that you should be focusing on instead of focusing on the things that you do not have. It is very important to shift this focal point. It is a very, very small change, but it can make a huge difference in your life. When I shifted my focal point from the fact that I did not want to be a full-time stay-at-home mom and I did not want to be stuck in the house, to figuring out what is it that I really wanted to do, which was being extraordinary and excelling in whatever I wanted to do. I became the national cycling champion that very same year, just by shifting my focal point from what I didn't have to what I want to achieve. It makes a huge difference.